All right, Lady Ada, we are back. What is this? What are we doing? Where are we at?
I know.
What time is it?
A lot of holidays, but we are back and shaking our asparagus sticks and smaller lemons. And we have show and tell. It's me, Lady Ada, with me, Mr. Lady Ada. We're going to check in with people in the Ada Fruit and Maker and Hacker community. Come on by. We want to see your projects, which you're working on. And bonus for this week, if you have an Arduino memory, you want to share a positive one.
Why are we talking about that? Well, I'll tell you why. Over the last 15 years, I've been covering a story. It was my beat in the open source hardware, I don't know, story.
Yeah.
One could say. But then eventually,
like a hat with an Arduino tip.
Yeah, boss, I got the goods. So I was trailing the Arduino and I got them. So the cool thing is, it's been part of the fabric of this maker movement thing, and it has a beginning, middle, and end, because once you take funding, there is an end to it. So Arduino got funding, $54 million. What'd they do with all the money? That'll be another probably thing. But what happened was eventually you have to sell or go away or go public or something.
Yeah.
So they sold to Qualcomm. This was the most known thing. It was so known, no one cared. No one noticed it, because I was like, hey, that's interesting. Would anyone want the open source people in the communities to get together? Because Qualcomm's kind of known for not exactly being open sourcey. Who knows? Maybe this will make them better. I remember telling someone a long time ago, they're about to get together with someone, and I said, oh, this other person thing will make you better. So Qualcomm can only get better with Arduino.
That's true.
I don't know if that's I have to think about how I said that. So if you have a story about it, but this has been part of everyone's life. We've been seeing people say, oh, I got an Arduino 15 years ago, and then I went to Adafruit, blah, blah, blah. But it is a time to celebrate, because things are changing. It means something definitely is going to change. There's going to be more things, more competition, more things, because straight up, when things get acquired, generally a lot of developers just decide to move on. That is just what happens. Fine. Now it's up to Qualcomm and Arduino to not let that happen, but that is something that happens. So think about all the things that you want to do that maybe some Snapdragon, Dragonwing thing could do, but really the other silicon vendors are going to say great, now's our shot to do our own ecosystem, and all we have to do is bring in the same type of thing. Let's make sure it's open source, make sure the schematics are available. It's always okay to do this. More hardware, I think, is better. We have the reason the Feather exists is because we asked Arduino, when Arduinos, the Unos are larger boards, we said, hey, we have this idea for a Feather. Do you want to do Arduino Feather? Back when the companies kind of worked like that. Yeah. And they said, no, we're not gonna do that. So we did the Feather, and that worked out. Glad we did, because we eventually just moved away from the Arduino form factor, but we have other ones. Anyways, we have a lot of stories. I'm sure you do too. Okay. Big ideas, big day. Speaking of big Arduino days, JP, are you tiny? Is that big, or is the
perspective just weird? No, look, it's this old saw. This is the gigantic Arduino Grande I made back in the day.
Yeah, wow.
It's a real Arduino right there, and then everything else is just kind of a breakout. It's like a big patch bay for it, but it all functions. You can wire stuff up to these jumpers. In fact, I made a very big resistor to plug into it, and I had some big LEDs, which I can't find now. But I can fire
it
up.
Where did you debut this, and when? Do you remember?
So this was Maker Faire, maybe I want to say 2014 or something like that.
That was 10 years ago.
Bay Area, maybe?
Yeah,
I think so. I just designed this thing, laser cut it, painted it up, built the little parts, and then wired it kind of in a sandwich in the middle there.
I think I'm going to take a screenshot of this. I'm going to take a screenshot, and I'm going to say, hey, everybody, good news. Qualcomm is not shrinking the size of Arduinos and charging the same price. In fact, the Arduinos are quite a bit bigger now.
Yeah, you get a lot more Arduino for your buck.
No one's going to get the joke, but
yeah, so that's my Arduino memory, is making that. And that photo you threw up there is me with Massimo Banzi behind me with a regular size Arduino. Greg Hayes took that photo for Make back in the Maker Faire days.
So you haven't aged a day, dude. I don't know what you're using, but keep up the moisturizing.
That's it.
It's that clean living and big Arduino building. I don't know.
Yeah.
He has to haul it around every day.
Yeah.
That's why he stays so
that
svelte.
Keeps you fit.
Yeah. Okay. JP, tomorrow you're going to do your workshop.
That's right.
you know, maybe dig out your oldest Arduino or something.
Yeah, that's right. I've got some of those weird Dewey Millanova that are in strange colors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have our in addition to the Adafruit Museum, we have the Arduino Museum, which is a great idea now for sure. So we'll continue to dig out the oldest ones, the weirdest ones that should never have seen the light of day. I think they can come out now though.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I'll dig out some Arduinos. Come by the workshop. We'll take a little trip down memory lane.
Cool. All righty. Dan, so good to see you. What you got going on?
Can you hear me fine?
Everything's right.
Okay, great. So I'm going to talk to you about CircuitPython 10, which came out a week ago. This is the final general release of CircuitPython 10. It's been 19 months since CircuitPython 9.00.
I was counting.
It's been about 6 months since the last, like 9.20 or something like that. So we've been working on a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is infrastructure and updates that you don't see. But I thought I'd go over some stuff that is in CircuitPython 10. So there's a lot of audio stuff for you people doing synth.io or audio processing. There are new effects. There's chorus, multi-tap delay, reverb, and phaser you can use in synth.io. There's mixer panning, so you can pan between stereo channels. And there's some improvements in the filter stuff in synth.io, and you'll have a lot of fun with that. And in the display world, we now support even more e-ink displays, 4 and 6 color e-ink. We've talked about that already on Ask an Engineer. And there's support fonts that are in LVGL format we can now use for terminal I/O and stuff like that. So that's a really nice addition to that. In the networking world, we've now added the full SSL root certificate list, same one that's used by Firefox and Google, basically. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do I have this root certificate or not? Can I talk to this website, which has always been a nuisance. But we were able to squeeze the whole SSL root certificate list in there. And in the underneath the covers, we have quite a bit faster garbage collection when you have a lot of objects that don't have pointers in them, like you have big arrays full of bitmaps or something like that. We don't try to garbage collect inside those because we know there are no pointers inside there.
And this was part of like getting, you know, what's funny is we uncovered this because we were doing the free jam startup animation, and it was really hard to do the DVI plus USB plus audio. And we're like, why does it have this kind of scratchy effect? And it was such a good demo. Scott had something to like optimize towards, and was like, oh, hey, here's like what's happening with the garbage collection doing audio playback, and was able to like deeply improve the AV support for CircuitPython by doing this garbage collection. So it's like one of the things I say is we do projects that uncover features or capabilities that we want to have, and that's how we do it. It isn't just for, not that we don't do stuff for fun, but it's like,
well, this came from, hey everybody, let's do a little history of startup screens.
Yeah.
So we found all the startup screens from the Macs over the years, and we're like, these are cool. We, you know, shared them around internally. And we're like, let's do our own. And when you do your own startup screen, that's when you find out, like, can you play all the things at the same time? What's your initialization? And like all of a sudden it's like, oh, we need to like hold down shift and do extensions. We want to do stuff. Do we have a safe mode? Do we have a text file that's local? And what's cool is like, that's an experience that who gets that nowadays when you buy a computer or an iPad or whatever, you never get to say like, let me think about my startup screen. So this is a really fun project to do because you get to pretend for a little while that you are solving all the problems of a Nintendo or an Xbox or a Sony.
I feel like, like a Steve Jobs robot or something to be like, make the startup faster, you know, whatever.
Well, yeah, and you can cosplay your own. You can run around and say, think about all the human lives that you're saving because your fruit jam's booting up 5 seconds faster. So you could do that if you want.
Yeah, I mean, right. It was really like, it was a necessity thing, and Scott had a really brilliant idea about how to do this.
Yeah.
We hope it'll get pushed up to MicroPython.
Yeah.
Too. It was like 25 milliseconds versus 200 milliseconds or something. Really great improvement.
Yeah, we constantly push things upstream to MicroPython and financially support MicroPython. And there's a dude who every time there's an Adafruit mention or something, he pops up and says, "Yeah, but you could do different or other or more." And it's like, stop trying to gatekeep MicroPython. Anyways, I just saw that.
Right.
I don't like it.
So and I'll show you
We're
one more
doing tons. We're putting tons in. It's great
There's
to
literally like I don't think anybody else who's doing as much to support Python on hardware as us.
It's going great, everybody. Join in.
I don't know, man.
And like if you want to snark on stuff, that's fine too. But we're kind of having fun doing this.
Remember, we support about 600 boards.
Yeah,
I know.
there's plenty of room. Everybody, if you're watching the news right now, like there's some folks bummed about Arduino stuff. There's also a ton of folks that are like, great, more competition, more boards, more everything, and that's what's happening over here. So, yay! This is a good release, and also our new poster.
Right. So there's a poster on the left there. You see, yeah. And so I wanted to show you one more thing. So here's a fruit jam. One thing that we now have is that when you have an SD card on your board and you plug it in on the fruit jam, there we go. It's showing up here. See, it's a little bit small, but you can see there it says 16 gigabyte volume. That's the SD card, the CircuitPy drive, which you know about, and the fruit jam has a special CP saves partition to save game data. So these appear automatically on the fruit jam, but on other boards that have SD cards, if you mount an SD card, it'll show up. So it's like you plug the SD card into your board.
Yeah, it's cool.
And everybody gets this for free across the entire CircuitPython builds. If you can support it, supports it, which is cool because that is a big feature, and that means we can have persistent saves and all sorts of fun game stuff.
Yeah. Again, it's like as we're doing projects, we're like, oh, here's we've talked about having like SD card mounting and like a separate partition, but it didn't make tons of sense until now. Anyway,
well, that sounds crazy if you just wind the clock back 5 years ago, like, hey, everybody, I'm going to do an Arduino project where I partition the microcontroller. It's like, no, you're not. Yeah. And now we're just like, oh, we can have like a little mini computer, but with all the benefits of just Python. Like it's a Python OS computer. Yeah. Okay.
All right. So that's it. I don't really have an Arduino story. Like I wanted to use Arduino for an assistive technology project, but it used HID. I wanted to simulate a mouse. And so I had to use an Arduino Leonardo, and I was like struggling with that. And then I discovered CircuitPython.
Yeah. That's it. You know what? That's a story.
That's a story.
I'll tell folks a story. It's like when we were kind of really tiny and SparkFun was like the big company on the block. There was times where it's like, wow, like everybody has their stuff. What are we going to do? And I remember the time when someone said, yeah, I bought a SparkFun thing. So I'm talking to them, but I didn't have documentation or code or whatever. And I put it in a drawer and I got an Adafruit thing. So we were always like the second customer, but that's fine. It's like, whatever, we saw something that we can do that we were really good at.
But
like the project-based stuff.
The Leonardo was the inspiration for CircuitPython. Like one of the things I really wanted to make sure that we had was good HID support, because I really loved that about Arduino. And Arduino was one of the first microcontrollers that had native USB support. Yeah. Like the Parallax and the PIC Basics and other microcontrollers, they didn't have, it was impossible to use native USB.
Even having Arduino around and then having something that's like, oh, it doesn't quite do what I want, and then coming up with something that serves a purpose too. So I'm hoping that people see this as an opportunity. Go is available in microcontrollers. We support that on our stuff. It's a great time. Rust is another thing. Why not, everybody? You could have AI help you, right? Isn't it? All right, cool, Dan.
Cool. Thanks for the update, Dan.
Cool.
Everybody go download. Also, we have the new in CircuitPython.org, the open installer.
Yeah.
Makes it easier than ever to get CircuitPython installed. Hey, Tim.
Hey, Tim.
Hello. So I have two things that I'll show. The first one's really quick and not quite as flashy, but it's what I've been working on, and I thought it'd be a cool thing to show off. So I have SPA 06003. This breakout came out pretty recently. The CircuitPython driver, when it launched, only supported I2C, and the current one only supports I2C. But in the background, I've been working on some changes in the register library to allow the register library to communicate over SPI. So I have this one connected now, and this is kind of my first test driver that I have been working on. So I just wanted to come on and show that it is now working over SPI. The PR is still out there. We're working through the API, so that might change based on what's there today. But SPI support coming soon for that SPA 06003. and also the BMP5X is behind that as well. And then I'll show the other one, which I think is more fun and visible and interesting. So I have also a fruit jam here. It's plugged in, and I have a capture card so that I can view it here on the screen so you all can see it as well, showing the latest project that I've been working on, which is this little logic gate simulator. So we have mouse and keyboard hooked up. It's going out over the HDMI plug to the screen. And then I have this little workspace where you can kind of place these logic gates and interact with them. So there's these virtual push buttons, which I can click on and off with the mouse. And you can see it kind of shows the path of the logic and what the output will be. We have physical push buttons. Of course, my looks like my camera died here. Oop. Let me launch that one real fast.
You know, a lot of.
Yeah, I have to let folks know that this is a live like mouse on a little tiny computer. It's the
I know there's a lot going on here.
It's that.
Yeah. Let's see here. I'll focus real quick too. There we go. Okay.
Good live demo.
So we have that. We have the physical buttons hooked up as well. So those little circles with the numbers in it, those represent the physical buttons. So if I press button 1, that one turns green and goes to the input there. And speaking of, Dan mentioned the saves, CP saves. That's one of my favorite things. So this app does support saving to that. So if I press O on the keyboard, it will pop up a little open slot up there, and I can type in a number. I built it in just using numbers 0 through 9, so you can open whichever one you want. I'll scooch over to number 2, which shows that we can chain the gates together. So you could take the output from one and feed it into the input of the next one.
I just thought this is so like, it's so like retro computer coded. Like this was like when engineers were like, okay, like before there was a game designer and engineers were like, I have to make a game for the ZX Spectrum. It was like, I know people would love to put together NAND gates to create like other gates.
you kids want to play with some rusty nails?
I know, it's like it's a few glass. Yeah, I love it. But this is cool. It looks great. It looks so like.
I love this. This is like a future that should have been like. This should still be like. Look how uncluttered it is. Like, what's going on? Nothing except for this. Everyone.
It's just so pure. And
yeah, like, totally. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun to work on. So it's got all the different basic gates built in. There's the output panel that you saw with the 0 and 1. It's got wires to wire everything up. The physical buttons. We can click out of this. You can move stuff around. So like I can kind of right click to pick it up and I can drop it somewhere else to build out different stuff with it.
Snaps. This is like a meditation program, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. It's heavily, I'll say, inspired a bit by Factorio. I'm definitely a big Factorio player, nowhere near as in depth, but they have kind of a similar system, and I definitely geeked out a little bit.
That was a little inspired. Like I've never played Factorio because I have to give birth soon, so I'm like, look, I'm busy. But
stay away.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But you know, Factorio and like Rocky Boots and what was that robot game?
Robot Odyssey.
Robot Odyssey. And there's like a bunch of these like games, and so this was all kind of. I was like, oh, like. Well, I'm glad that you like took it and you like came up with something.
It's really a great way for young people to catch up on some of the history of how we got here, because I feel like you kind of have to a little bit. You can't just leap to it. Talks to you and buys you things on DoorDash. Like you have to have something between that.
Yeah, and visual as well, I think is key. Like a lot of folks, especially trying to learn Boolean logic. There's a lot of non-visual ways that sometimes people try to teach that, and I think this is really nice to be able to see like visually and interact. Like I'll say tactile, obviously it's a virtual thing, but to be able to press the buttons on and off and see it red green at least helps my brain out a lot. And then the last thing I'll show about it is we can output to the NeoPixel as well. And I have a hug report for Gordy G over on Discord. Gordy G provided the asset for this. Turned out super cool, this little NeoPixel input.
Oh, nice.
So it has 3 input wires that map up to red, green, and blue. So right now the green input is high, so it's got the green NeoPixels on. And if I turn that off based on the gate, then that one will turn off as well. And if I press the other button, so that one won't turn on unless I do this one.
And this is how you run a power plant, everyone.
Whoop, got it doubled up. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Yeah, it reminded me of like sort of.
Yeah, this is how you turn on the turbines. This is it. This is it's look.
And you can do red there as well, and you can.
You know what's interesting? I have to look. What back when Atari was around, maybe Atari 2600, was there any games that did anything to the physical hardware at all that would turn on a light or do anything.
That's why I thought this was fun. It's like, well, we have NeoPixels and buttons.
Did it take till Nintendo with the Dr. Robot thing where there was like a video game and then a physical thing?
I think there wasn't any. I mean, you had the controller and you had the TV.
But Tim's doing something like that could control a robot arm or like whatever. It's just like it's there. That's kind of neat because you're not expecting a computer to like move an arm, but this is microcontroller, you know, from the start with all these libraries and stuff.
Yes.
All right, Tim, this is cool. I'm gonna be playing this because I have something to do with this kid situation here. So I'll get to play this.
Now this is I really love it. I also said too, you know, there was like
between
the,
stuff.
Computer Engineering for Babies book, and it was like
that looks like the cover.
You know, I was like, oh, like tickle this thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to give like big kudos to Tim. It's like I didn't know what was going to come out. I just kind of threw like 4 ideas, and I said, go make something fun. And this totally blows me away.
Absolutely delightful.
Totally amazing and way beyond what I expected.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's fun to work on for sure. Yeah, Learn Guide is in the process, so that'll be up soon as well for folks who want to learn about how it's made and run it yourself.
And to be nostalgic, so we have probably a steady pulse, like a dial tone of people like, oh, I'm now 20 or I'm 30 and I had a different career and I did Adafruit stuff and I just want to say thanks. 20 years have happened or 10 years have happened or whatever. And I think that we're going to start to see the same thing. Like someone's going to tell you, Tim, later, like, oh, I was playing with this when I was younger and that sparked that path onto what I wanted to do and build. I didn't even know this was possible. And this is what we're hearing. And then today, everyone, in addition to the dunking on the Adruino, some people are like, oh, this is how I got my start. That's a very common thing. So I think this is like there hasn't been anything like Arduino for the next group of people, really. Yeah. And I think this is probably it, where it's like, oh, this is the spark, because you could do Python and then go into hardware right away, where before it was like there was no physical hardware, but this is a way to get there.
And then another thing that's amazing is, you know, this game is written in Python. It's interpreted on a microcontroller that's like bit banging, DVI, and USB. And what's cool about you know, having like, you know, like I'm reminiscing about like Arduino, and like one of the things is for like 20 years I've been dragging code from one Arduino to another to get it to work through like many iterations. What I really like about CircuitPython is, you know, we do make code updates, but you know, we'll eventually have like an ESP32P4 fruit jam, right? Because it'll have like native DVI or whatever DSI output and maybe camera input. And this game will work there too. And I don't know, there's just something nice about like open hardware, open software, and like recreating these games in a way where I don't have to worry about like.
It's not Linuxy, but it's still code. It's like, it's not like we're like, oh, here's device tree stuff. It is like Python. It's Python. It's self-contained Python. It's like it's like when you could wrap up something as exe, you know, and send it to someone who just like runs. It just runs. So good brain stretching and pushing the hardware and all the cool things that we wanted to do at this time.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks. See ya.
All righty. Don't forget, watch Tim's show on Fridays usually.
This Friday, not next Friday. Taking a break.
Yeah. And watch all the stuff and more. You can kind of watch what I think is the next chapter. It just carries all the good stuff with Arduino, and then what's next? And it's like lots of scripting, lots of iteration, lots of things on devices with you there. And I hate to say it, I don't think people are really into some of the cloud IDE stuff. That just seems to be like, for developers, it just seems to be not a path that most want to go.
Yeah.
So you want to do, like for microcontrollers specifically, it seems like.
What's interesting is, you know, right before, you know, Arduino, we'll talk about this more in Asking Jared, but what's interesting is as they were, you know, in the process of getting this acquisition done, which takes months, is they were starting to move to MicroPython, because the thing is as the chips and
it is still mentioned in all of the
become more complicated.
Yeah. I think
actually can't write the code and see.
The Q does have something about MicroPython, I think, but it's always like it's always like I sent a note to Damien at MicroPython because I'm just like, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from him, so I don't know if he's part of this. Is he part of any of this because he was doing stuff with Arduino? I don't know.
It's
SparkFun has their own fork of Arduino, our own fork of MicroPython now, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, show and tell. Come and see where the future happens. I think you've tuned into show and tell over the last 15-ish years.
How many Arduino projects?
You have seen the Arduino team on show and tell talk about Arduino, and then talk about making Arduinos with Adafruit in USA, and then talk about Arduino coming back together, or wherever that story is still. And then now there's this. We'll see. We'll invite them on our shows. See what happens. But this is kind of, for us, like inside baseball, it's like, okay, like that is a version that you can do if you run a company. We're not going to do that, but that is the version, and we're very much looking forward to what happens next. MakerBot, which some people forget, that was parts of MakerBot was open source and then acquired by Stratasys, and then little bit of a merger thing. There was open source, and then it stopped when there was a certain date, and then nothing else open source after that, and it was part of DIY.org, and then it was part of Sphero. And I don't know, I have to check what the latest with little bits is, but those are like this, and then there's us, SparkFun, Microbit, Raspberry Pi, and then menagerie of others.
Yeah, I mean, like Raspberry Pi went public too. I mean, it's an interesting timeline.
We'll see you on Ask an Engineer tonight, where we show a variety of things like new product introduction and new products. Let me tell you something as we wrap up now. If you want to do electronics, if you want to really do any business, do something every week that you really like and get it out there to the most people, because times are going to be turbulent. And if you look, all the electronic companies, tariffs happen, COVID happened and everything. We wanted to tell our story because we think electronics are more than just the bits and the bits. There's more to it. There's a story, and we're living through it now. And this is interesting. Like Arduino is a story. So, that's our thing. So you can just measure time through different iterations of Arduino, different CEOs of Radio Shack. We measure time that way. Pour one out for Ty Lopez. $11 his GoFundMe's up to for his legal fund. Okay, we'll see everybody later. Just like the app. Is this thing still on? Bye.
Bye. See you soon.